Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars.
And we are live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I am Zach Chapman here with part of Shaggy TV, and here to bring you a little Old Timers Tuesday here on Tuesday night. See Rhonda out there in the chat box. She's a regular. Appreciate you tuning in, Rhonda. Is right now trying to adjust sounds a little bit, making sure they're okay here. I see going down the back stretch, it can get a little loud here, so just trying to fine tune a little things here, but we got a couple minutes, or a minute or two, I should say, here left to practice, and well, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mauer Farm Management. Mauer Farm Management, the sponsor here for Old Timers Tuesday, and speaking of, let's take a look at those points here. Right now, last week, we had a little event, so Old Timers Tuesday had off last week, so only one race in the books here, and, well, Dean Reynolds won that. So, Dean, your current points leader here. GJ Boydell in P2. Steve Bixler in third. The asphalt, which we'll get into a little bit later. You know what? We'll just save those for later. Little teaser here. We don't need to give out those points yet. Still a long way to go here. There's Pat Boyce in this 41 machine. Pat Boyce has been real fast in dirt lately. I mean, especially in the sprint car. This is kind of a car where, you know, this isn't putting down anybody or anything, but this is kind of a car right now on a tacky track. Almost everyone can be pretty competitive here. And as it starts to slick off, you know, midway through the heat races, that's where we'll really see the separation start and the drivability of these cars kind of shift away and go in favor of that track. As you know, guys will have to adjust their lines, and I think we're going to see guys like at 161, the Desert Demon Terry Landis. He's really good at ripping the inside, and if he goes searching down there tonight, I think he's going to have a lot of luck here. But you know the deal, no qualifying here in the dirt side of things. It's all done by random draw, and well, looky who got the pole. The Bassman Roger Craig here is actually you. Well, I guess you guys do know that. I rarely hide it on the side. I need to do a better job of that. Surprise, surprise, you knew right when I did. As the Bassman Roger Craig rolls off on the inside of row number 1 into his outside in the 014, Greg Boydell. Roger Shank rolls off P3 in the 950 into his outside in the 888, Steve Maurer. John Rayner rolls off on the inside of row number 3 in the 302 into his outside in the 79. Your current point leader, Dean Reynolds. Rounding out the field is the mayor, Steven Bixler. And look at the mayor getting up close and personal. We're going to give John Rayner a little love tap, just letting him know, hey man, let's make sure those belts are tight. I'm ready to go. As the drivers roll through 3 and 4, pace cars should dive off. And Roger Craig in the 740. Oh, no, okay. We're going to go around one more time. One more time here. One more time. Now, you know, I mean, not that these guys, well, they're old enough here. They're experienced enough. But, you know, that extra pace lap, it can, you know, play little head games with you. You can get nervous if you're on the front row, or, you know, maybe in the other side of the coin here, if you're in row 2, maybe you're just thinking too much and you get a little too aggressive here going into turn 1. But pace car is off. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 1 is underway at Volusia Speedway. Let's go play in the clay. Roger Craig gonna try to float it up there in front of Greg. He's gonna make room, and now they're 3 wide for second for a moment. Greg Boydell gonna prevail, but Dean Reynolds wasting little time here. He's going upstairs. Steve Bixler finds the outside wall. Dean Reynolds here trying to move up the P4. He's going to do it on the top shelf. And just like that, 6th to 4th, Dean Reynolds on the move in that 79. Battle heating up front. Now, Dino, quick work there on Steve Maurer. We watched it. Dino up to P3 already. But man, oh man, these two up front, they better figure something out, because that man behind them is in a rocket ship right now. That 79 of Dean Reynolds, he came to play. Going to drive it in deep. Not going to get into the back of the 014, but man, is he going to get close. As Greg really shut it down to try to look under that 747. 2 fingers in the air, 2 more times around here at Volusia Speedway. Can Dean Reynolds find a way around the 014 and go to work on the 747? Or can Greg Boydell maybe make a move for himself here as he floats up? He gets into the side of the 79. Whoa, big send from Steve Maurer. And the top 2 wiped out just like that. And Roger Shank in the 950. Well, he's got the horseshoe hidden somewhere as he rolls through 3 and 4. For the final time, Roger Shank is going to win heat race number 1, followed by Steve Maurer, Dean Reynolds, John Rayner, Greg Boydell, Steve Bixler. So let's see if, real quick here, going to allow us? Yes, it is. We can get a... So, Greg, I mean, he maybe was mad at Dean a little bit there for a little push, but, I mean, there's nothing that you can really put the blame on Dean for there. And, I mean, you see there, Greg came down a lot. Well, now we're up into the next session, but I think that's just a case of Greg would probably want to take that back if he could. I'm sure that wasn't done purposely, but wiped out a couple good cars there as we get ready for heat race number 2. And heat race number 2 is going to look a little something like this. Gary Siegelkow in the 25 is going to start on the inside of the front row. And to his outside, the 161, the Desert Demon, Terry Landis. Inside of row number 2, the 2 of Harold Klump, and to his outside, the 4 of Greg Parmalee. Inside of row number 3, the 7 of Bob DeGood, and to his outside in the 94, Gary Offit. Rounding out the field this evening, in the 41 machine, we've got the librarian, Pat Boyce. We're going to sit up here. We're going to see if they do only run one opener lap here if the pace car dives in. Oh, we're going to go around for 2 again. What's the rush here? No rush at all. It's going to be a good night here at Volusia. This place, I mean, you know, between this and Charlotte, I would say arguably, you know, I mean, the most even racing. You kind of get 2 lanes. You used to get that a little bit at, where was that? Lanier, not so much now since the new update. But Volusia, man, this place, it doesn't disappoint. It never has. I don't care what build. This place has always been amazing, and the pace car is off. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Gary Siegelkow brings us to the green for heat race number 2. The Desert Demon looking up there on that top shelf, trying to get a run on the outside of the 25. Side by side as they enter turn 3 wide behind him. Greg Parmalee on the top shelf. Harold Klump was the meat in that sandwich for a while, but it's heating back up front as Terry Landis made the move on the outside, got it to stick, and well, Gary Siegelkow, he's trying to look back on the bottom. Gary slotted it back in now in second. Battle on here for 4th is Bob DeGood feeling it from Greg Parmalee in the 4. And the librarian here, he got the bad pill draw, started last. Up 2 spots, has moved on up to 5th here as you see Greg Parmalee, Gary Offit, those teammates, man, they're struggling a little bit right now. Harold Klump made the move, was able to get around Gary Siegelkow for 2nd. Bob DeGood now getting around for P3. Can Greg Parmalee follow around? Harold Klump trying to run down your leader, Terry Landis, but running out of time here. You guys would know that if I were to click the scoreboard back up. What a shame, what a shame, Shaggy. White flag in the air. Final time around for Terry Landis. What can he do? Through 3 and 4, nothing, says Terry. He's going to go to the top shelf. He's going to hold off the rest of the field, and he's going to win heat race number 2, followed by Harold Klump, Bob DeGood, Greg Parmalee, Gary Siegelkow, Pat Boyce, and Gary Offit. The librarian, we talked about him earlier, maybe jinxed him a little bit, was on the move, and fell back to 6th. But with that, we're going to take a real quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we will be back with more racing action right after this.
another edition of Iracing Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Gets on the champion, trying to be a
bit of a hiatus, so let's get right when we talked about it.
We are back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and well, we just saw the man there in that last ad, Marty Sakala. Once again, everyone here at Coast to Coast, man, our thoughts go out to Marty and his family with the loss of his father. Yesterday morning, I know we talked about it last night, but not enough can be said. All the work Marty puts in, some of the videos that he does for like the Knoxville Nationals, and teaching me pretty much everything that I know, including giving me the overlay. Nothing, I could do nothing without that guy, and definitely thoughts and prayers are with the Sakala family right now, but the show must go on, and we've got a feature here at Volusia Speedway, and starting on the front row of that feature, the man in that 950, Roger Shank, into his outside, the Desert Demon, Terry Landis. Inside of row number 2, the 888 of Steve Maurer. Into his outside, the 2 of Harold Klump. Dino starts on the inside of row number 3. Into his outside, the 7 of Bob DeGood. John Rayner rolls off on the inside of row number 4 in the 302. Into his outside, Greg Parmalee. Inside of row number 5 is that 014 of G.J. Boydell. Into his outside in the 25, Gary Sigelkow. The mayor, Stephen Bixler, rolls off on the inside of the librarian as they take up row number 6. And the 7th and final row this evening consists of the bassman, Roger Craig, to the inside, and Gary Offit, his dancing partner, on the outside. One more time around this beast here at Volusia. Let us know who you're rooting for. I saw Anthony there had a... Oh, okay, there we go. I was talking before I even looked. So Anthony's got Dino, and Rhonda's got Roger. All right, so those two are taken here. Let me see who I got. I'm going to take the Desert Demon there. I think the inside's going to hook up, and I like the 161 tonight, but it's going to be a good one. As that's R3. Who do you got? As the green flag is high, it's ready to fly. Roger Shank leads us to the green flag. Oh, as they're stacking up behind there, Bob DeGood let it sail on the outside in that 7. It worked there for a little bit in 1 and 2, but just kind of ran out of real estate and finally ran out of room. But Terry Landis going to that basement just like I thought the Desert Demon would. And he goes a little too low, gets into the inside wall, and here comes Dino and Steve Maurer. Dino wasting no time in that 79. Oh, Bob DeGood in the outside wall here. Can he get it together? No caution. Gonna keep on rolling. Dean Reynolds trying to make a move here for P2. He's got it so far. He's gonna float up. Not gonna shut the door just yet, but here he goes. He's gonna throw the dagger here in 1 and 2. Contact between Steve Maurer and Harold Klump for 3rd. Harold Klump trying to go down there, and Terry Landis, man, he knows he shot himself in the foot. He's got to make up that ground. Got plenty of time, though, 20 and a half more times around, but Dino doesn't care how many laps we got left. Battle for the lead. The 79 going down to the basement. Roger going to hold him off for now as the yellow flag's in the air. John Rayner in the 302 is what I'm thinking here. Let's see that black and white thing. Who's behind him right now? Pat Boyce. He blinks out a little bit there. Comes back in and, well, I mean, that's on the 302 either way. He got loose, came down the track, and whoa. Somebody light the menorah. Look at him spinning like a top. We're going to go back. We're going to watch this at full speed from the cockpit of the 302 here. Round and round and round and round and round. He can't get lucky enough to land on the wheels, and, well, he's going to have to tow. Roger Shank out front. He says, cry me a river. I don't care. I just want this thing to keep on rolling. But inside, you know, maybe secretly, may have to admit here, this caution may have helped the 950. The 79 was starting to go to work here. And we know with a restart here, leader's in control. That should give him, you know, a couple car lengths here and make Dean have to fight a guy or two behind him. Yeah, Anthony there talking in the chat box. I mean, when we think about running the bottom, you and Blake Chapman are definitely the two people I think of. People, a lot of people like to say Bandy too, and honestly, I'm not saying he doesn't, but he only comes to mind because other people say he does. I see Bandy pretty much go wherever, but you guys are willing to. I mean, you'll go to the top shelf if you have to, but I would say at 9 out of 10 tracks, you're setting that thing up for the bottom. But lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace car as Roger Shank chooses the inside here, and he's going to lead us back to the green flag here 19 more times around at Volusia Speedway. Good jump there for the 950, but the 79, oh, he tried to straighten it up and really drive it up the hill, but the 950 throws the slider on him, and he parks it on him in the middle of 1 and 2. Dino going back up there in 3 and 4. Not as good of a run there off the top shelf as you probably thought he was going to get. Roger kind of gapped him a little bit, but right now, Dino, the car to beat through 1 and 2, for sure, as he makes up a huge gap, and battle on behind. Roger Craig to the inside of Greg Boydell. He's got to slot back up in line. He doesn't want the 4 to get a run and go by on his outside. Dean Reynolds here going to the basement in 3 and 4. Floats up, almost gets into that left rear Roger Shank, but Roger just excellent drive off. He pulls away, and, well, another Roger Craig here. He loses that spot to Greg Parmley. We saw him shut the door earlier. He is struggling a little right now in that 747. He is up 6 spots, so all in all a good race, but right now that track change maybe just not playing into the 747's hands as battle heating up for P2. Harold Klump in the 2 wants to take over second. And while they were battling, they're still hanging with the leader here, Roger Shank. 14 more times around as you see John Rayner in the 302. He's a lap car. He may get involved in this race here, and not even on purpose. He's going up to that top shelf trying to stay out of the way, but battle for the lead. It's tough to stay out of the way here. What are you going to do, guys? Roger kind of gets pinched there in the middle. Dino has to go way low. It affects him the most. And Roger going to walk away with his lead here. He lives to fight another day. Steve Maurer with a big send. Gets into the side of Boydell. Gets into John Rayner. Goes around. Bob DeGood. Pat Boyce involved as well. And, well, I think, you know, this started a little earlier. Let's see if we can go to the Chapman Racing drone camera here. We'll watch this. So, big send by Steve Maurer. He gets sideways, and I mean, John Rayner is out of the way. That is not on John Rayner. He's the whole way up there, then comes down. I believe that's Boydell down there. And Boydell's holding his line, so you can't put that on him. That's, I mean, tough break for everyone, but you gotta look at the 888 for this one. This Dino here, they'll have 11 to go when they get the green flag. So you still have some time, but not a lot of time. Here, if you're that 79, you got to make your move sooner rather than later, I believe, because much as I would love to say, hey, we're going to run this thing out green flag, I don't know if it's going to go that way. But yeah, Anthony, I only have 2 monitors, so I have to minus my race chat here to go over and look over at this YouTube chat. But yes, I do agree with you there. I believe Rayner did absolutely everything as well as he could have, and then some, because I talked about it last night in the Monday Night Madness. If you're a lap car, man, you're in no way required to get the heck out of the way like he did. You're only required to hold your line. In dirt racing, you don't get that lap back. So there's a little more fighting involved than asphalt. No free lucky dog. And he was nice enough to get out of that way. Nothing more he could have done here. As we're doubled up. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. The 950 leads us to the green flag again. Roger Shank with an excellent jump over Dean Reynolds. Oh, Harold Klump in the 79 get together as the 79 looking to make a move for the lead. Slider on the 950. Roger Shank trying to counter back. Who had it at the line? I think give it to the 79. Dean Reynolds got him by a car length. 2 car lengths now as he goes into 3 and 4. You gotta think that 79 is looking like a good pick tonight for my man Anthony here. Is able to get some clean air on that nose, and man, that 79, he is gonna set sail. Roger Craig looking to climb back up into the top 3. We talked about him struggling, climb up into the top 3, not back. The man is up 9 spots. He was up 7 earlier, then lost a little bit to Parmalee, and we talked about maybe the track wasn't coming to him. Well, what does Shaggy know? Drives his way up to 4th, and he's honestly looking like he's got something for the 2 of Harold Klump. Just got to be consistent on that throttle and let it come to him, because right now, those 2 in front of him, battle's starting to heat up. Roger Shank had led the whole first 2/3 here, and you got to think once you see that 79 drive by you, maybe you start overdriving a little bit. We're seeing that right rear step out from underneath him there in the middle of the corner, and now the 2 of Harold Klump looking on that top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. Not going to get the run here in 3 and 4. Roger Craig gets loose coming out of 4 as Greg Boydell. He takes momentum and drives by in 1 and 2. Greg Boydell started 9th up to 4th in that 014. We saw him involved in a little incident earlier, but right now, Roger Shank, he left the basement open, and Harold Klump went down there with a flashlight. He's not scared. He's searching down there in that darkness. Is he going to send it in? He's got to keep it in the middle. Roger gave him plenty of room to do so. Roger maybe got to get a little defensive here in that 950. Got to pinch them down. Is he going to go for the crossover here? Harold Klump gives him the basement back. And side by side through 3 and 4, Dean Reynolds coming to the line here. 2 to go as we're watching the battle for 2nd place. Dean Reynolds will give you a little look at the lead he's got there. Huge lead, but we got to keep our eye on this battle for 2nd for now. Dean Reynolds taking the white flag here. Final time around. The next flag will be the final one. Can Roger Shank get to that middle step of the podium? Can Greg Boydell sneak his way into this race? Or onto the podium, excuse me. As they roll through 3 and 4, Dino's going to take the checkers. Battle for 2nd. Harold Klump's going to win that one, and Roger Shank is going to hold on to that final step of the podium. But Dean Reynolds, man, oh man, we're going to go back. He was so far out in front of everyone that on that final lap, I just didn't do Dino any justice. I mean, this is his final lap. We're going to stay up here just so you see the absolute, I mean, he put the hammer down. He really whipped him tonight. Once he got around, he took his time. Look at that lead. I mean, and that's him just having fun, not driving hard, taking it easy, and that 79 of Dean Reynolds gets it done here at Volusia Speedway. So we'll bring up the full results for you here. It's Terry Landis 6th, Gary Siegelkow 7th, Pat Boyce 8th, Steve Maurer 9th, Steve Bixler 10th, and the rest of the field, Bob DeGood, Gary Offit, Roger Craig, and John Rayner. But man, Dino, he took his time, really just, I mean, like a snake in the grass, just jumped out there and stole it at the end. But we're going to give our man here in the 950, Roger Shank, a minute or two to catch his breath. And we're going to pull him up for his interview. And he's already here. I was behind the ball. Hey, Roger, Shaggy up here in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Hey, Shaggy, I copy you.
Hey, man. Well, you had the car to beat there early on, but it just seemed like once that 79 got by you, he was kind of in his own area code. Was there anything you could have done different there to try to run him down?
No, I was kind of in over my head on this race. I've done very little roundy round racing in recent years, especially on the dirt. And that's why I joined this league, to get some experience in it and learned. And I had nothing for them front two guys. I probably stayed out longer than than I probably should have out front, you know.
Well, I mean, it just shows, you talk about being a road racer, and it just shows, racing experience, it carries over. You're learning real fast. I mean, there's some guys in here, been doing this for years, Roger, and I mean, you're running up towards the front. You're looking good out here, and it's really impressive what you've been able to do so far.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a pleasant. I mean, I'm happy with third, but man, I would like to have won. I would have made myself a little award for this win. It would have been big, but maybe I'll get one before the year's over.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, man. You keep driving like this. That 79 of Dean Reynolds, I can tell you, he'd love to, but he's a busy man. He ain't gonna make every show, so not all of them are gonna be this hard. And with the way you drive, one's coming. But congratulations on a great P3 here tonight, Roger. Who you want to thank?
Well, Shaggy, I'd like to really thank you for broadcasting these races. My sister really enjoys it, and the rest of the family, and Coast to Coast for putting on a fun league, and all my competitors. It seems like a very clean league. I'm happy so far.
Yeah, man. So far, so good for you. Been looking real good out here. Top steps coming here, Roger. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
That's your P3 finisher, Roger Shank. And now we're going to bring up the man who finished P2, Harold Klump. Harold, man, you had your hands full there trying to get by Roger for P2. And when you finally did, it looked like you had a little bit of speed. Do you think you had anything for the 79 if you could have got a caution?
If I would have had a few more laps, I waited too long to get by him, and I didn't want to do what I did to Jeff last night. I felt so bad about that, so I didn't want to repeat it tonight with him. So I was just very cautious.
Well, you look good out here tonight, and starting fourth, being able to finish there on the middle step, you got to be happy with that. All in all, good points night, and at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, right? We're points racing.
That's what it's all about.
Well, congratulations, Harold, man. Big P2 finish. Who you want to thank?
Well, thank you for doing all this, and thank Coast to Coast and all them guys. And I'm hoping Marty's doing okay. Feel really bad for him. I went through it too. I know what it's like. And I want to thank Dirt Track Untold. She, Mandy is fabulous with what she does. And pretty much that's about everybody right now. That's what's taking care of everything right now.
Well, hey, great job, Harold. Looking forward to a lot more of these this season, my man. Great run.
All right, thank you so much.
That's Harold Klump, your P2 finisher. And now we're going to bring up the man here who Anthony's not surprised. You had a teammate watching this tonight, Dino. He picked you. He said you were going to win. And, man, you took your time there, if we're honest. You were real patient. But once you got out front, man, you let her sing.
Yeah, Roger was running a real good line. I mean, I know he doesn't have a lot of laps in these cars. I tell you though, he was strong and he was just running the same line I wanted to run. And yeah, I mean, you got to be patient. I was on the brake quite a bit, and I didn't want to get into the back bumper or anything like that. And then he actually pushed coming a little bit off too that one time, and I said, well, this might be the only chance I get, so let's throw a haymaker. And she stuck and he got back underneath me, but we got another good 1 and 2. And then I went as hard as I could because Harold's waxed my butt several times in 358. So I wanted to get some distance before he got into second. And then hopefully no yellows came out because Harold's so good in these 358s. But that was a fun race.
Yeah, man. Well, 2 races in, 2 wins here. Are we gonna maybe see you go for a points championship here this season?
No, this is the season I actually missed the most weeks because I got Super Dirt Week coming up where, I won't be iRacing at all, and then I leave for 3 weeks for Charlotte. So
maybe Max Verstappen will let you borrow his rig. You can take it.
So I'll be spotting him at least 4 races. So I don't think so. So usually usually the season that I can possibly go for points is, believe it or not, the spring season because I don't have any trips along from home. I still miss 1 or 2 races, but when your 2 drops are the races that you miss, that's so hard to win a title that way. But we'll give it a shot. I always do, and I always say I like to see myself atop the point standings before I go on a vacation, not vacation, but go to work or whatever. But it's a lot of fun. I've been stumped on Volusia since the new build, and I don't know if you remember the charity race, that we had there. I started 6th and finished 9th, and I'm like, what the heck was I doing? So I came in here and tried some different lanes, and I don't know if I learned anything yet or not, but we gave it a shot.
Well, you went high, wide, and handsome tonight. Stole the lead and didn't look back. Dean, congratulations. Who you want to thank?
Well, first of all, my thoughts and prayers out to Marty again. It's going to be a tough little while for Marty, and we're still thinking of him. And, brother, we're just hoping you're getting through every day a little bit better as we go along. And, I think everyone here in Coast to Coast is thinking about him. I got to thank the guys from Full Throttle Motorsports. They help out this old guy as much as they can. There's only so much I can learn, but they have a lot of patience and give me a lot of pointers. And without those guys, I wouldn't have half the speed I got. So I got to thank them. And Shaggy, got to thank you for doing the telecast as always. It's fun that you can showcase some of the older brethren of the C2C league and show them what skills they have.
Hey, hell of a job, Dino. 2 for 2, man. Looking forward to see what you can do this season. Congratulations.
All right, thanks. And great run by Harold and Roger. That was a lot of fun.
And that's going to do it here for the dirt part of Old Timers Tuesday. And we're going to be back with a little asphalt retreads action. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. We're going to run a quick commercial break. And I'll be right back to call some more action on the Coast to Coast Racing Network.
It's time for another edition of Iracing Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a
Bit of a hiatus, so let's get. Tonight when we talked about it.
Outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
We are back on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I'm Zach Chapman here with Shaggy TV for part 2 with a little Dallara DW12s here at Daytona International Speedway. Could be 30 laps here, but maybe 25. We'll get the double check. We'll know for sure when we go green. That's all that matters. But right now, taking a look here at the points in the asphalt after one race. Your winner last week, and this is something that can happen in the Coast to Coast Racing League because incident points matter here. Or maybe... No, actually. Okay, so I'm looking at this. I can't... Maybe there's bonus points for the poll here, I'm going to have to look. The standings are a little confusing here because Greg Boydell right now, your current points leader, by 3 points over Mike Cramner, who won the opening week. Both of them had 0 incident points. So it's a little perplexing there. I was going to explain that away with incident points, but not going to be as easy to explain that away as I would have liked. It looks like right now Bob DeGood, the first car on the track here, will ride around with Bob DeGood in the 7, watch his opening lap here at Daytona. See, guys, a lot of guys, run at least that middle. I would be up a lane and a half higher, and that outside really carry as much speed as you can to the start-finish line. Looks like he's going to make this lap count here. Going to go to the inside. And with these, they get up to speed pretty fast. Not necessarily like a cup car or something like that. The opening lap, you want to run up against that outside wall and wind it up. You can go for it here on the opener. Really let it hang out. Right now, Bob DeGood is... He was purple. Mike Cramner just took that away from him. I think right now Bob just a little too far off that yellow line, especially in 1 and 2. 3 and 4 look a lot better. But 1 and 2 seem to struggle a little bit as times roll in. Bob DeGood will be pole by default of being the first lap. Mike Cramner going to take that away pretty quickly, though, in the 70 is... Let's go Bob Curtis. He's about to finish his opening lap here. What kind of time does Bob put in as we see it come up on the board? Pat Boyce takes quick time. John Rayner now takes the quick time in the 3:02. It's Mike Cramner getting ready. He's rolling through 3 and 4. He was coming around to finish up. He's going to get loose. That's going to do it. You saw he was purple sector 1. That is going to slow down Mike Cramner, slower in Sector 2. Bob DeGood right now with quick time. See Bob Curtis as he rolls around to finish up. Pat Boyce is going to finish right here. Where's Pat do? He's going to move up to P2. Not quick enough. Bob Curtis, though. The man in the 012. He's going to take... quick time for about 4 seconds because Gary Offit in the 94 said, move on over. I'm going to take quick time. Greg Boydell, the only person yet to finish qualifying. He is on lap number 2 right now. So this Looney Tune machine as he barrels down the backstretch. Watch him roll by here. Man, it makes the camera shake, Greg, going so quick. He improved both sectors on his personal time. Let's see, that moves him up to P2. Greg Boydell in the 014 is going to start on the outside of the front row. Great qualifying effort for Greg Boydell. As we get ready for Mauer Farm Management's Old Timers Tuesday final feature of the evening here at Daytona. Once we get a chance to pop up that starting grid, we will most definitely do so. But for now, all drivers have put in their qualifying times, so just waiting on the advance here as we get a good blimp shot here of the pond down the backstretch. It would spin a little bit to the left. We could see the airport over there, maybe. But it's spinning in the opposite direction. So let us know if you're still out there watching who you got here for the asphalt side of things. This is pretty much, you got to survive at the end. And got to look at the grid here. I'm not picking him to win yet, but Roger Craig, he has been one of those guys who we've interviewed during races, talks about the key to of survival here, and he's a guy who's done pretty well at that. Or at just that, excuse me, surviving and making his way to the end, and he's always in the picture here. But right now, the starting grid for your Dolores at Daytona International Speedway going to look a little something like this. Starting on the pole, the 94 of Gary Offit into his outside, and the 014, Greg Boydell. The 012 of Bob Curtis starts on the inside of Bob DeGood in row number 2. And the inside of row number 3, we've got John Rayner into his outside in the 41. Pat Boyce, the librarian. Inside of row number 4, the 70 of Mike Cramner into his outside, the 2 of Harold Klump. Terry Landis, the Desert Demon, rolls off on the inside of row number 5 into his outside, the 950 of Roger Shank. Greg Parmalee is going to take the inside of row number 6 and is outside the Bassman Roger Craig. Gary Sigelkow rolls off from the Baker's Dozen spot and is outside the Mare, Steve Bixler. Rounding out the field this evening in that 888, we've got a little Steve Maurer. Steve Maurer taking his time rolling out of the pits there. I thought for a second somebody missed the grid, but he's coming on up. He just says, "What's the hurry, Shaggy?" There's going to hit a little traffic going down the backstretch. No reason. My wife gets mad because I'm that guy who speeds around the cars to just go up there and sit at the red light. And maybe one day I'll learn. Maybe one day I won't. Maybe one day I'll beat that red light. I just realized I never typed in Daytona. So right now we've got 25 laps at Volusia Speedway. That's going to change here in just a second. Magic. Voila. Checkered flag laps count. Well, of course they do. But yellow flag laps also count here in the asphalt side of things. So drivers need to make sure they behave themselves and give themselves a chance to race their way up through the pack because, it's all about who's got the run at what time. So you really got to respect the nature of the beast and try to time it as the pace car is off. And the 94 of Gary Offit looks to bring us to the green flag. As the green flag is high, it's ready to fly. Let's go racing at Daytona. John Rayner there having a little trouble. Needed to back out of it. I believe that was him in the 302. As he floats up a little bit, almost gets into the side of Bob DeGood. His guys, lap number 1, settle down. We got a long, long way to go. And right now, Greg Boydell leads the way. But look at this pack behind him here, side by side, racing like it's the last lap here at Daytona. John Rayner in the 302 trying to take a peek down low on Bob DeGood, but Bob DeGood's, he's got the dance partner. Mike Cramner going to draft with him up top. Now Bob's going to hang him out to dry. He says, "Let's go for a little walk here, John." The 3 out front doing their best to try and line up and just pull away, but sad to say, boys, doesn't look like it's going to work just yet. I mean, you know what? Maybe I take that back. They are having a little success here. And this side-by-side, they keep lifting. They keep burping the throttle. This is going to be a big deal. It's the first 2 laps caution-free. How long can we keep it that way? As you got to think the potato's getting pretty hot here as they toss it around. Or is that Terry Landis who almost gives Pat Boyce a little hug here? He's got to burp the throttle and live the race another day. Greg Boydell still out front right now. Not really getting any pressure from the 94 of Gary Offit. He knows this is the smart move right now. Let's just stay in line. Let's try to get away from these guys. If, you know, we can make this a 3-car race, let's do it. 33% chance of winning if this thing stays green. But these guys, I don't know if they're going to let it stay green here. Man, they're racing hard right now. Gary Siegelcow on the bottom. Greg Parmalee to the outside. Jerry Landis on the inside behind Gary Siegelcow. Roger Shank, that man on the top shelf there, running behind Greg Parmalee. So Roger right now knows there's a long, long way to go. He is an asphalt racer. Maybe not these per se, but an asphalt, man, patience is key. Dirt, you know, those guys, they don't, what do they know about patience? You got to go. It's a shootout. This, I mean, you got to pace yourself. You got to make sure you got tires left at the end. Won't be an issue at Daytona, but, you know, a guy with that kind of road mentality, they're used to it. As you see, Bob DeGood, I believe, came up the track a little bit. We were watching it live, and we got a big one here at Daytona. All right, so we're going to rewind this a little bit. I believe he just kind of ran Mike Cramner out of room. We're going to go up to the Chapman Racing drone camera here. Not much of an up here. Going to try to change that. It's a little better. All right, so you see he's just floating up. Mike's there. I mean, Mike's there. Mike gives him room, and I mean, he basically goes up there, almost gets into the wall. They didn't wreck yet, but Bob just not coming down, and Mike at that point, he was pretty committed, and Mike Cramner. And the 7 of Bob DeGood going to go around. We have some big hitters there. Was that Greg Parmalee? It was. Let's go back and see if what we can see here from the inside of this thing. Boom. Nothing he could do. Car to the inside. Car stopped right in front of him, and the 4 ends up on his lid. Greg Boydell out front right now. I don't believe we'll see any drivers pit. Greg, yeah, there he fakes it a little bit. I don't really see the need for it. Maybe if you got a little damaged, if you kiss the wall, as we see John Rayner, he's going to come down pit road. Not sure if he had any damage on that thing or not. Maybe the right front looks a little nicked here, the right side. We'll see if that paint gets adjusted here. Yeah, it does. Okay, so his wing was messed up a little bit. It's coming in for the quick repair, not even changing tires, is the 302. Oh, hey, what's up, Bill? Okay, and caution laps don't count now, so cool deal. I hope you get to feeling a little better here, Bill. We love having you out here, but I'm glad you could tune in and watch the broadcast tonight. You're an integral part of C2C. We don't know what we'd do without you, Bill. His lights are still on, so we're not going to go green just yet here. Ugh, had to hydrate a little bit, excuse me, but Greg Boydell. Right now, we talked about it. I believe he is, and yes, he is the current points leader, as we discussed, so looking real good for him right now. Mike Cramner, on the other hand, there, the guy who won last week, still sitting on pit road. He had to tow in that 70 machine, so yet to repair that thing. As soon as Thing gets repaired. You hear him revving it up a little bit. He's anxious to get back out there. Lights are off on the pace car, and we should go back racing here this time. Greg Boydell trying to flex his muscles there to the pace car driver. Pulling up along the inside. Yeah, one of these nights, Bill, if you don't feel good, feel free. By any means, any time. Come up here and sit in the booth with me. I do not ever mind. And you may have some fun. You just got to keep that temper in check, Bill. We all know how your temper can get out of hand. As if anyone out there watching doesn't know, I don't think I've ever seen Bill even misspeak to someone through writing, let alone with his voice. So Bill would be the... Well, maybe it's somebody... You know what, Bill? Maybe you would be the person. Maybe you'll let it out here on the broadcast. Maybe that's what we need. I don't know. We might just uncork the bottle here, but... We're a fifth of the way through here. 5 laps down. Gonna have 20 to go here as Greg Boydell looks to bring us back to the green flag. So we're gonna go up to the starter cam here. Let's watch him take the green. Good jump for the 014 of Greg Boydell. Let's watch him race down into turn 1. We saw a big one there. Terry Landis involved. Pat Boyce flipping. And with caution laps not counting, we might be in for a long night here at Daytona. Let's go take a look here. We saw it there. We saw a yellow car, but that was Terry Landis. Yeah, he just clips the apron. And that's Pat Boyce, who, let's go back here. Let's pause this right now. We're going to go in the cockpit. We're going to watch it at full speed. Pat Boyce could do absolutely nothing here. Let's watch this. Oh, wild ride for Pat Boyce. That is absolutely unbelievable. Let's look at it from outside the car. Man, that was vicious. Lands on all 4 wheels, but Pat, that thing is not going anywhere. Yes, Anthony, that Pabst is shaken, not stirred. And if that is a can, don't stand within 4 feet when you open that thing because it is going to explode. We got Pat Boyce and Terry Landis still on pit road, as we would imagine there. After that vicious hit from those guys. And gonna do a little eye pacing here at Daytona. Let's see here. What can we do? Let's see who we want to pull up here and make feel uncomfortable. So we got Kale down there just hanging out. You know what? He might be the guy to actually pull up here, but I don't know if Kale is actually in there talking. So I don't want to pull him up if he's just sitting down there hanging out. Let's bring up Gary Offit here. We're gonna bring him up. Let's see, Sim Racing Concept Team. Hey Gary, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Hey, got a copy, Shaggy. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. But what's going through your mind here? You're sitting here. You've been running a calm race, P2. I mean, you're clearly pacing yourself in no hurry to get around. But what do you think under these cautions? You know, how do you get back into the rhythm?
Well, you know what kind of scares me is my restart. That last green or yellow, then this last my restart was terrible. So I'm kind of concerned about the restart. That's going through my head kind of bad. You know, they have this button that you're supposed to be able to push to pass. So I thought, well, I'll just give that a try. And when I tried to push that button and get around, you know, before that first caution, it didn't help. So I think it's the best thing. Just sit back, relax. We got a long race. Going to be a great evening tonight. So, and just see how it all plays out.
Yeah, no, and with caution laps not counting, not sure if you were aware of that, but I mean, you know, you've got time, so you're in no hurry. But you're 1 to green here. I'll let you go. Good luck here, Gary.
Hey, you too. Have a good evening.
We'll send Gary back home here as we send him back down to his Sim Racing Concept teammate with Gary Offit down there. Excuse me, that was Gary Offit. Greg Parmalee. Ugh. A slip up, Shaggy. Man, you're full of them here tonight. But like we were talking there with Gary Offit, we got the white or the 1 to green here, getting ready to come back around. We'll have 19 laps to go when they get the green flag. Right now coming down the backstretch, so a little ways to go. This Greg Boydell, you know, I mean, no stranger to being out front here in these asphalt retreads. Every night in the dirt that he gets a podium, I always say you got to be one of the favorites. And I mean it, you know, sometimes it doesn't always go your way. You know, you don't get the best result. But Greg, you know, whether he can make it through the whole race or not, he just has an act for getting to the front. And it's just whether or not he can get the car to agree with him and stay there. He always finds a way to get there. It's just whether or not it can stay put. And long way to go, but he's found some comfort out front right now as the Steve King Foundation pace car is off. Greg Boydell leads us back to the green flag here as the green flag is out and we're back underway. Gary talked about worrying about that restart, and he struggled once again. Bob Curtis rolls on by, and as well as the 950 of Roger Shank. Roger Shank wasting no time here. Oh, caution is out. Well, let's go back and let's see if we can see what happened here. We see Steve Bixler involved. Not sure how, though. So Steve, we see he's a little loose there. Oh, wait, no, that was way... Oh, what is going on here? Okay, so let's find Steve. We're going to manually rewind this here. SDK doesn't want to give us anything, but I feel like there had to be contact before that. Okay, there was. I was going to say, for it to be acting like that. So Steve gets a big run here up top. Coming, he's got the 302 of John Rayner to his inside right now with that red top. He comes up on the back of Mike Cramner, I believe, pretty heavily, has to lift, gets hit from behind. No, he was actually hit from behind by Mike Cramner. That's who that was. Car is not acting right. You can see it bobbling back and forth. He gets into the outside wall, and oh man, it's 3 wide behind him too. So that was going to go sour even without his help, I think. There's 4 cars involved, and caution back out here at Daytona. Gonna need somebody to come over here and start the pot of coffee, I think. Gonna have we're 3 cautions here in 6 laps, so this is where we're just getting to the point where we, gotta settle down, got a long way to go because I mean, to be honest, they're not done yet. These cars are real whimsy. You see, you just kiss that apron, you oversteer a little bit, it's gonna go around, and you gotta respect the car. You gotta respect the track. Here is long way to go. And it's just a case of where, Gary Offit there, he's not happy, with his earlier restart, but it's a case of where that's what you need to do, I mean, he's probably the only one to not go super aggressive there. Made sure the tires didn't spin. There is a long way to go. I don't care if you give up half a second on the restart. You'll make it by the middle of the backstretch back if you know how to draft correctly. So it's just about making sure you survive the cold tires here on the restart. Just ride around. If you get those 2 lanes going, spread them out. Daytona, I mean, you could fit 5 of these side by side. It wouldn't be comfortably, but you could fit it. So 2 wide, there's no reason to crouch the other guy here. We're not coming down to with 2 to go. You don't need that side draft. It's not going to make or break your race here at this point in time. So like I say, I'm all about crouching that guy down on the bottom, making him feel uncomfortable. He's already got the shorter way around, but time and place to do it. If you're in the old 1987 cars, you can rub a little bit, no big deal. These things open wheels. You gotta respect the net code. You gotta respect the just instability of the car. Getting ready to go back green here as the pace car is off. And Greg Boydell leads us back to the green flag once again. Better start this time for the 94 of Gary Offit, but still not necessarily what he would like here. Is cars diving all around him, getting aggressive here, and we're wrecking already, I think. I believe no caution yet, but Harold Klump in the outside wall. He just lost the rear end, and that's what you gotta weigh the benefits to what can happen there. We saw him get real aggressive, try to shoot down below Gary Offit when he had more speed, and well, he paid for it. Got in the outside wall after he got loose, and that's going to spoil his day here. Is right now, green flag still out. You got to think, where's John Rayner in this mess? Let's go on board with John Rayner. There's a chance. There is a slight chance that if John hunkers down here, really rides smooth, that he can run these guys down. As they go by, I believe that's... Who was that on the inside? Greg Parmalee? Roger Craig? Nope, we're watching Greg Parmalee almost wreck there. That was a good save from Greg Parmalee. They're battling behind him, Steve Maurer and Mike Cramner. And now this is where, I mean, is there truly a point in battling for 8th place? You probably want to line up and try to catch the leaders. Nothing good is going to come of this. That's for sure. We might be looking back here at a caution in a little bit, but we're going to go back to the leaders. I'm telling you, you got these front 3 front four, basically, if Bob Curtis can get back into it, lined up. I mean, you got to line up, and you can play rotate a little bit, but now these guys even here, 15 to go. Be smart. You got this thing pretty much in tow, running side by side. You're giving those guys a chance behind you to come play. As I kind of saw this coming here. I told you. Is they're wrecking Steve Maurer and Mike Cramner. No caution just yet. Not sure if we're going to get one. Is Steve Maurer in the 88 able to continue for now? But, oh, man. No right front. I don't like the look of this here. As you see the leaders coming. Greg Boydell, hold on. Hold on, fellas. Hold on. Woo! That could have been scary. Or it was scary. That could have been bad. Race continues here. Greg Boydell able to hold off the 950 of Shank. You know, now that we see the caution didn't come out for it, I thought we'd maybe get a chance to look at it. Let's try to figure out what happened. So they just try to go 3 wide. Mike Cramner stuck it on the outside, and like I say, that's nobody to. I mean, that's not one individual blame. That's a group mentality there in that backpack. You're watching the front guys get away from you. There's no reason to race. You got to line up. You got to be smart. And well, you end up paying the price for it here. It's 3-car race out front. They've kind of dropped 4th and 5th here. John Rayner and Bob Curtis. They want to get up here, but right now just don't have that pace. Roger Shank, I talked about him earlier, having just that asphalt mentality, being really smart, hung out in the back early. Well, now he decides, he says, Shaggy, 11 and a half to go, time to make my move. He's going to look to the high side here in 3 and 4. Coming to the start-finish line, Gary Offit, he's got to make a choice here. Going to go up high for now. Now he's going to go right in that middle line. Is he thinking about making it 3 wide? I sure would, not with 11 laps to go. But right now, Greg Boydell just holding that bottom. He thinks he can do enough. And I think, you almost got to do it together here, but we're watching. I mean, you don't get too much. You do get draft, okay? But you can't get that shove. Like we see people get NASCAR or in the truck series, the Cup Series or the Truck Series and stuff like that. You're not really going to get that shove. So what you got to do here, you're the 950 and you're Gary Offit. You want to get around. Got to work together. You got to crack the throttle. You got to give Greg Boydell about a half-second lead and eat up that draft and take a run to the high side. That's pretty much the only way you're going to get it to work here, unless you get in uncomfortable territory and you start pinching him down. And you can do that, but you see there, Greg, he's bobbled 3, now 4 times in the center of just 3 and 4. So one mistake from the guy on the bottom when you're pinching him, well, there it goes. Bye-bye, see you later. And now Gary Offit just being smart here, riding around in P3. Go back there, still riding 4th and 5th, pretty much single file. Roger Craig, now he's in 6th. Terry Landis is a lap down in front of him, but they're leading this charge here, and they are catching up a little bit to 4th and 5th of John Rayner. So slowly but surely, even if they don't get a caution, they may be able to make a move here and try to get into the top 5. But the leaders are wrecking. Roger Shank and Greg Boydell involved. Wrecking on the front stretch. Roger Shank over and over. End over end as it comes to an end. Roger Shank has to toe to pit road. Now, this could be I'm just watching Greg Boydell here. He's going to be able to drive this thing into the pits. So that's a big deal. He's not going to have that tow time. good deal for Greg. And this is where, I told you more cautions were coming, and now that the field's going to be bunched up again here, I think we may get a couple more here. I don't know if we're done just yet. See if we can get an overhead shot here. Go up to the drone. So Greg floats up a little bit. Roger just with a big run and just gets into the back of Greg. I mean, it's definitely not malicious. It's not like he's trying to do that. I mean, you see Roger, he ends up, tanking his own car because of it, but you can only put the blame on that 950. There's big wreck for Roger Shank. Gets hit again there. Well, that 950 machine of Roger Shank, that's going to need some work. Same with that 014 of GJ Boydell. Not too sure. Maybe he wasn't able to drive it into the pits. He may have had to tow. He may not have been able to steer, because that thing should have been in and out by now. Well, Gary Offit finds his way out front, and I believe is SDK gonna change stuff, as I think some people are getting their laps back. It's got Terry Landis and Steve Bixler in first and second. I believe that should change here. We see Terry drop down. Steve should drop here, I think. See who we want to play around with here. Do we have Bob? No Bob Curtis in here. Let's see here. Sorry, trying to scroll through the Discord. We got the man in second down there in Discord. Let's pull him up. Mr. John Rayner. Hey, John, Shaggy up here, man. You got a copy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. What's up, John?
Ooh, the nerves are nerves are racking up.
Yeah, man, I bet.
Yeah, well, you've seen the beginning of the race and how close that was, and a little bit of bumping and grinding going on. But we settled down a little bit now, and very close race, exciting race.
Yeah, you put yourself right there in P4. You were hanging out behind that front pack, and I knew it was coming. I watched those guys starting to race hard. What was it like watching those guys, or trying to miss that wreck in front of you? How tight was the wheel there?
Yeah, my hands are still stuck on it. Haven't moved them off yet. Yeah, it was very close. I almost got caught in that.
Well, hey, John, man, a couple more laps to go here. Hopefully you can get that title belt tonight. Good luck, brother.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, buddy. You take care.
And that's John Rayner right now riding around P2. It's got Mike Cramner in first. That will change as well. Like I say, SDK doesn't like when caution laps don't count on asphalt, so it takes a little bit to adjust. But right now, your leader is the 94, Gary Offit. And from there on down, everything should be pretty accurate. Mike Cramner, I think, will drop to 12th. Oh, wait, no. Mike Cramner may, or who is sitting there on the backstretch? Mike's sitting there. There we go. Mike might have went around one too many times, thought he was a lap down. All been there. But the pace lights are off. And the 94 of Gary Offit will look to bring us to the green flag. And, if he has a little bit of a slower start like he's been having Not the end of the world here. Just go up towards the outside wall, Gary. Make them pass you on the inside. Make them get black flagged. Make that field take their time here. We are in no rush. We got 8 laps to decide who is going to win this thing. And at Daytona, well, that is a lifetime. Is plenty of time here for the 94 to get that thing up to full song as we're going to go up to that starter stand. Watch the green flag fly. And we are back underway at Daytona. Wasting no time, the 302 of John Rayner to the outside. That's why I said you wanted to close that if you were a little slow on your starts. You didn't want to let them get that run and get to the top shelf. And, well, Gary, if the race is what we've seen, is any idea of what we have to play out, it's tough to get by that leader if he holds the bottom. So you didn't want to give up that run right away if you thought you had a chance at winning this thing. And, well, Bob Curtis, man, he is getting hungry in that Target-looking thing. That red and white DW12 there in P3. Let's see if he can make a move as he moves up to that final step of the podium. Chick-fil-A, not Target. There we go, Chick-fil-A. It's the 0-1-2. We see Gary Offit on the outside of John Rayner with a full head of steam going down the backstretch, but just no help right now. Not yet, anyway, as here comes the Bass man, Roger Craig, in the 747. Oh, we're hearing him wrecking in the back. Caution is out. The 950 of Roger Shank involved. Let's see here. So Terry Landis enters in on the flat. Yeah, I mean, he had gotten a little loose, but honestly, he did a pretty good job of saving it. And I think, who is that? Mike Cramner. Maybe panics a little bit when he sees that. Yeah, you see him go up the track. He gets into the side of Roger. That's a natural reaction. I mean, you see the guy below you get loose, and, well, then Mike got kind of forced down by Roger, but that's because he had just turned Roger. I mean, Roger's trying to catch that car. There's no way he's trying to drive him back down the track. That's just the characteristics of the accident. And, 3 wide at Daytona. Shorter tempers here, running out of time, and just not a lot of laps. That's what's going to happen. So, John Rayner right now, the man who had said he was oh so nervous, finds himself at the front of this pack. And when we do take the green flag, we will have 6 laps to go here at Daytona. As I keep getting calls to vote for political candidates, my apologies if you heard the phone call. I cannot take getting those things anymore. I wish they would let me alone. So the lights, I believe the lights just clicked off here. I'm going to try to get... That's not going to be the view here. This may be the view when the pace car gets here. I believe the lights are off. Yes, they are. Right now, I believe only 8 cars currently out on the track. The other one's still in pit road from the incident. So Steve Bixler in 8th place, pulling out on the track right now. Currently the last car on the lead lap. Greg Boydell 7th, Greg Parmalee 6th, Gary Siegelkow 5th, the Bassman 4th, Bob Curtis 3rd, Gary Offit 2nd, and the man out front in the 302 is John Rayner. No luck yet, trying to keep an eye on those 3 guys still on pit road, none of them with any movement yet. As we see him sitting there, Terry Landis, Roger Shank, and Mike Cramner. There goes Roger Shank. There goes Mike Cramner. Is Terry Landis going to make it? There he goes. Where is the leader? Now, this is going to be close. They are going to be going around at full speed, but man, that is a lot of distance to make up here. Well, I'm not going to hold my breath. I think we're going to get one more caution anyway, and, you know, maybe you want to be the whole way back here to stay out of this next caution. Is 6 laps to go here for the 302 as we are back underway at Daytona. Gary Offit behind him once again struggles a little bit on that start, but here is where, you know, I talked earlier, that second place guy, you wanted it to build to about half a second. Well, he's got to get going here. He's going to lose touch, but if he could stay within that 9/10 of a second gap, as you see it going to 8.0, 8.1, he's got to stay at that 0.9. He will get a nice pool here. Now, at the same time, oh, little hiccup. He's able to save it. Great save from Gary Offit in the 94, but without a little bit of luck here, I think that may do it here for Gary, as he is way back off the pace. Oh, Steve Bixler into the outside wall. And that pink and red machine looks to be a little tight now. Maybe it's auto steering to the right. Got to turn left to go straight now after getting into the wall a little bit, I bet. He's going to find a way to stay out here with only 5 to go. They're looking 3 wide. Greg Boydell in the middle. Oh. They're wrecking all over the track here. They wrecked behind. They wrecked in front. Greg Boydell sliding through the grass. Can he get on... stuck on the lid? And, well, that may do it for Greg Boydell. Let's go back here. Let's see the first wreck. We watched what happened with Greg. So the 4, I believe that's Greg Parmalee. Let's see what we got here. And so he sees that Chick-fil-A machine weave a little bit. He probably, you know, just a little reactive. Goes down there, kisses the apron. Comes up, gets into Steve Bixler's front wing, goes around. That's where you got to crank the wheel to the left and keep it down there, but he comes back up, nails Bixler. And they both end up in the inside here. Neither of them able to drive back to pit road either, so... with that tow, that may be all she wrote for those two. Now, that's where I said, you know, Roger and those guys, Roger Shank, Terry Landis, Mike Cramner, that may have been a gift. You know, you get to miss that and you get to go on through. Let's go back. We're going to go. Was Mike Cramner involved in this somehow? Because we see he's way back there. See, did he get into the aftermath of this? Because I'm just wondering why he would pit again. Maybe he just went in for fresh tires. Because he doesn't get into the aftermath of anything. Not too sure. But there you see Rogers behind him, Roger Shank. And not too sure what would have caused Mike to want to come down pit road again. But he did, and he gave up a little bit of track position in doing so. It's Gary Siegelcow coming out of the pits. 8 cars right now on the track. Greg Boydell currently still sitting in pit road. Greg Parmalee still on pit roads. If you're still out there watching, tune it in. We appreciate you sticking around here. As we're going to get a good finish here, 100% at Daytona. Finish never spoils here. We've had some close ones here at Daytona in the retreads. Lights are off, though, I believe. Greg Boydell getting back out there. Oh, Mike Cramner gets into the back of Gary Single-Cow under caution. Oh, no. What happened? I mean, he just goes down there, clips the apron, and comes up and gets into him. It looks like Gary's able to get his spot back here, but oh man, the drama started. We weren't even green yet. John Rayner with a huge jump over Roger Craig. Already a second lead over the Bassman. Battle heating up for P4. Roger Shank leaves the basement open for Gary Offit in the 94. But he's going to go down there and shut that as soon as he can. Try to line up. You got one final shot here, but boys, you got to get up there. You're running out of time. The Bassman, you see that lead. It's at 1.29 seconds. He is not reeling in your leader. You know, you're not really getting much draft help. You're going to have to slingshot a little bit with your friend Bob here if you want to run them down. It's not going to want to put up a big fight here. This is going to take a team effort where the race is decided out front. But, man, they're not done. They're going to try to wreck back here yet, I think. So we're 2 by 2 by 2 going down the backstretch. Roger Shank able to move down and shut the door on Roger Craig in a battle of the Rogers here. As we're rolling out of 3 and 4. Flagman's got 2 fingers in the air for your leader, John Rayner. 2 more trips around Daytona International Speedway. John's got it out front. You're seeing the lead still at 1.3 seconds, man. If this thing runs out green flag, I would be shocked to not see John Rayner on that top step as he absolutely aced that final restart. But they are side by side trying to determine those final 2 spots of the podium. As your leader out front, John Rayner, we are going to go to the starter stand. We're going to watch him take that white flag. This is it. Final time around. So checkers or wreckers, if you wreck, it doesn't matter. No cautions coming out. We're racing around to the flag stand. What's going to happen here in this pack? Contact. Who is that? The Bassman, Roger Craig, and Roger Shank get into it a little bit. As they start to fall back, Gary Offit takes over P2. He's got GJ Boydell to his outside. Coming out of 3 and 4 for the final time. Your winner is John Rayner in the 302. The battle for second yet to be determined. Greg Boydell gets it at the line just by a hair over the 94 of Gary Offit. Bob Curtis 4th. Roger Craig rounds out the top 5. We're going to bring up the rest of that finishing order as soon as we can here. As I think Roger Shank here, we're waiting for him to nurse it across the line. Here he comes. And we should get those results here as we see the flagman. He's going to put that flag away. Take his time, get a little drink of water here. And well, one of these, there they go. There they go. Thought Iracing was getting a little upset with me here, but there's our finishing order. We'll round out the rest of the top 10. Greg Parmalee 6th, Gary Single-Cow 7th, Terry Landis 8th, Mike Cramner 9th, and Roger Shank rounding out the top 10. The rest of the field, Steve Bixler, Steve Maurer, Harold Klump, Pat Boyce, and Bob DeGood. John Rayner in that 302, man, able to get it done with an excellent restart. Just absolutely aced the restart, and we'll never look back. Because we're going to give these guys a minute or two to catch their breath and hop up to the interview rooms. We'll get Gary Offit here, your 3rd place finisher, as soon as we can. You know what? I can help him out. I'll grab him myself. Hey, Gary, Shaggy up here in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Hey, Shaggy. Yeah.
Well, hey,
Man, was that crazy or what?
no kidding, man. I mean, that was wild. It seemed like John, he just absolutely aced that restart, and with you kind of being stuck in line, P2 was kind of the best you could fight for there. But man, you got it taken away from you right at the line. What was that like?
Oh, it was crazy, man. It was exciting. My heart was like beating like 90 miles an hour. It seemed like, but I just, I didn't want to try to block, and go up there on the high side. It is what it is, and you just got to take it and move on to next week, right?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, sometimes that is what you got to do. You just have to. You'd much rather finish second or third when you're points racing, excuse me, than wrecking and finishing back there in ninth or 10th. So you made a big move there. Good decision there to hold off. And we saw you there on that restart. We're watching it right now, Gary. You clipped that apron a little bit, man. How were you able to hold on to that thing?
I have no idea. I was just trying to make sure I didn't hit nobody. I was like, oh, stay straight, stay. I just didn't want to take someone out. That's what I was thinking. And it's like, yeah, restarts I was terrible on. I gotta figure out what them boys are doing. I'm like, I lose 2, 3 car lengths on a start.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
I
mean,
got some homework to do this week.
yeah, it's tricky, especially when the tires are cooling off with that many cautions. But Gary, you aced it tonight. You're able to finish on that final step of the podium, man. Congratulations. Who you want to thank?
I want to thank Mallard for helping putting this on in this league. And then I'd like to thank Roger and C2C Group for all they do. Shaggy, for you and all your group that you do. I know you got some more people behind you that are, man, it just makes a wonderful broadcast. And then thank uh, Greg, Keith, and Jack and Devo. So for all their help that they do, and so uh, off to a good week.
Yeah, man. Great run for you tonight. Way to finish here the night on the bottom step of the podium. Good run, Gary. And man, I think you're going to find yourself in a points discussion here. All these good runs. Good job tonight.
All right, thanks. You guys have a good night.
That's your third place finisher, Gary Offit. Now we're going to bring up the man who just able to edge him out. Greg, man, what an exciting last lap. Talk us through it.
Yeah, that was good. I was trying to go where they weren't, but they kept moving up in front of me. So I just sort of stuck to the back end of the guy in front of me and, tried to hang tough and hope we could get around him. And we did.
Yeah, it's not something we saw too much, but, guys who drive this a lot, these things have a little bit of net code. We all know that. I mean, how tricky is it to get that high side to work, Greg, when, you got to be scared to pinch that guy on the inside?
Well, that's exactly it. Like, I won't go 3 wide with these cars and these guys, especially because I'm on a single monitor. Being in VR is different. You can look left and right, but when you're in a single monitor mode, you really can't do that unless you're pressing buttons. That takes your concentration away.
Yeah, no, I feel your pain there. I'm a single monitor man myself, and it definitely adds to the difficulty in this thing running at such high speeds. But Greg, you were able to master that high side, get it done, and through no fault of your own, just a tough restart, not able to run down the leader. But great job getting P2, man. You got to be happy. Who you want to thank?
I want to thank you and C2C and all the volunteers and Mr. Moyer and Moyer Farm Management and Abandoned Cats Rescue.
Well, congratulations, Greg. Big run, man. Proud of you. I say it every week. I talked about it. I didn't get to talk to you tonight after the dirt, but you're always one of the favorites going into this thing. And, man, you proved why once again. Great run.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And thanks for hanging in late with us because I know you got another league to do. So.
Hey, man. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Love doing this for you guys. Good job tonight.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
And with that, we're going to bring up the man who he had talked about, He was sweating it out. He was nervous. But, John, you aced that final restart, man. You jumped out to that second gap, and that was the trick. They couldn't draft you, and you ran away with it, man. Hell of a job.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much, Zach. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was focused on that restart for sure. I wanted to get off. I know on our second to last restart, I got off to a fairly good restart there, and I was hoping when the caution flag come up, I was thinking, am I going to get this lucky again? But yeah, I got off to a good start and was able to hold it off. I was praying I wasn't going to come down too low and hit any of those yellow lines, which would not have been good. So I was focusing on not quite cutting the corners as tight as I had been.
Yeah, now obviously focus, it has something to do with that, but you're coming to the final restart there, John. How do you? I mean, nobody nailed a restart like that tonight. I mean, how'd you do it? Like, is it just all about throttle control? Do you hammer that thing down? I mean, what's the trick?
Well, certainly when you mentioned throttle control, I had been most of the restarts. I was going in second gear, Zach, but the last couple I was put it down in the first gear. Now, saying that, I understand if you hit that throttle too hard, that's going to just twist your back end around. That's the end of the game. But if you can manage your throttle, okay, I believe that gives you just a few hundredths of a second better start. And I was able to achieve that tonight. Thankfully.
Yeah, man, I would say, you saved that one final trick. You pulled it out of the bag there at the end, and boy, John, did it ever work. Hell of a win here. That's impressive to just pull away like that on a restart. And I mean, really not even give anyone else a chance. So great run here tonight. Big win here in week number 2. Who you want to thank?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Zach. But yeah, certainly, of course, Shaggy TV, Zach, and you did an amazing job broadcasting as usual. I'd like to thank some couple of our sponsors, Mauer Farm Management, Salty Dog Racing Team, Flatline Racing Bodies. Yeah, they're always there for us. Certainly, Roger Craig and the Coast to Coast Racing League. As you know, each week they do an awesome job, and without them, guys like myself wouldn't be able to have so much fun doing this on a week-to-week basis. So yeah, a lot of people to thank. That's all involved with the iRacing with C2C, coast to coast.
Yeah, man, definitely. We've got a lot of unsung heroes out there like Patrick, Bill, that do so much, and wouldn't be the same without those guys. But wouldn't be the same without guys like you either, John. Hell of a run tonight, big win, and man, you got to feel good about the points going forward.
Yeah, I was hoping to pick up a few points. I know last week I had some unwelcome luck, so that happens, as you know, in race to race. You think you're doing good, and you could have a lap or two left, and something unfortunately happens and throws you right out of the race. But yeah, I was really happy with the win. Get a few points on the board. I need them, and we'll go forward from here.
Well, great job tonight, John. Looking forward to talking to you again, my man.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Really appreciate it. Great. You guys do a great job. So much appreciated. You have a good night, eh?
Yep, appreciate it, John. You as well. And that's your winner here tonight. Gonna cap off Mauer Farm Management Old Timers Tuesday here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as the 302 parks it right on the other side of the stripe, as he is your winner here tonight, John Rayner. Got it done, and I mean absolutely aced that final restart. That was the difference, and if anybody's out there listening, first gear when you're on that front row, I think you just maybe gave a little bit too much to everyone, John, but seems like that was it tonight, and that was the difference. So from everyone here at the Coast to Coast Racing Network, I'm Zach Chapman, once again thanking Mauer Farm Management and all the other sponsors here at the Coast to Coast Racing League for coming on board for another season. Join me here once again tomorrow night for a little Flatline Racing Bodies Hometown Heroes. We got the 360s and 410s whipping it out there on the dirt. So around 7:30, 7:45 somewhere, make sure you're tuned in. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. I'm Zach Chapman signing off. Have a good evening.